2020, we would go back to the safest form of dating ever. Always keep 1.5 meter distance between the two of you. You can do what you like with that fact, right? Suddenly, us leaders, us CEOs, us women who are leading companies, who are leading groups of people, we're sitting at home more than ever, alone, confronted with what it actually means to be alone, confronted with the decisions you took in your past. That means that you're still alone. This is a time of looking in the mirror, right? Whether you want it or not, there's not so many other people to look to, unless you take your freedom. I want to share 5 practical tips. The social distancing walk date, everybody is kind of inventing it. But how do you prevent it to be just like a walk through the park with your grandma? I don't have a grandma anymore, but if I had, I think I would love walking through the park with her. But it's not the same as a date, right? We want it to be hot. We want it to be juicy. We want it to be yummy. We want the guy to go like, I want to see her again. We want to have that feeling like, I want to see him again. How do you create that? Well, I want to start a bit philosophical and with some music before I go to 5 very practical tips that are 100% guaranteed to work. Even if it's not 1.5 meter, but 2 or 5 or 10 meter in between the two of you. This works. But first, a bit of the thinking, because it all begins with your thinking. As I'm at home a lot now, I picked up an old hobby of mine, which is the saxophone. It's like a bamboo flute, but the mouthpiece is like a saxophone. Interesting combination. I have a big passion for it. By the way, you see some people arriving, saying hello. I think I can see your comments. I'd love to see who's here with me. So I picked this up again. I hadn't played in years, so my technique is lousy. And this is not an easy instrument. The pitch is not perfect when your technique is not perfect. So I'm showing here my non-perfect. One of the songs that kept wanting to be played now was Donna Donna. Probably you know it. Joan Baez made it famous in the 60s in a time of social protest. It was written in the Second World War, 40-41, by a Jewish man. It speaks about oppression and that sometimes we're not able to free ourselves from our oppressors. But sometimes we are. That's what this song is about. Isn't that powerful right now? Suddenly I realized why I was called to it. I want to play a little part of it to begin with, and then say a bit more, and then we dive into the practicalities of a hot, sexy, exciting walk around the park date. The calf is tied and laying on a wagon, being taken to the slaughterhouse, and is crying. The swallow is dancing in the wind, and the wind is laughing and free. What a paradox. In life, there's always the calf, and there's always the wind, and there's always the swallow. And we have a choice. Do we allow ourselves to be the calf tied to the wagon, or do we become the swallow dancing in the wind? Now, Corona is real, right? We cannot deny the 1.5 meter. We cannot deny quarantine. So on that level, there is no choice. But on another level, we have a choice how we deal with it. Do you give up on dating? I've given up on dating when I was in high school because I wanted to focus on my career. I wanted to study and get good grades. I gave up on dating when I was in college because I thought it would come later. Now my career. I give up on dating. This is not me, by the way, but I hear this so often, right? I give up on dating because then I had my degree and then I wanted my job and I wanted to prove myself. And then I needed to get promotion and there's always a reason. And suddenly you're 30, you're 32, you're 35, you're 38, you're 40, and you're like, when is my time? And then Corona came. Will you be the calf and say, first we need to get everything straight again? Or will you be the swallow dancing in the wind? Times of uncertainty are the best times for dating because we all come out of our old patterns and we're suddenly ready to take new risks. So that's the mindset I want to give to you right now. Enjoy this time. I'm in Holland, we're not in an actual lockdown. Many countries around us don't have an actual lockdown. We're allowed to leave our houses. So plan that social distancing walk date. Do it. Go on a dating app. Learn how to make it work. There's plenty of great men, but you need to learn how to attract them so that you can plan a date with them. And then the 5 tips. First one. Ta-da-da. Let me share my screen. Fenster. There you go. We start with number 5. We start with number 1. First tip, meet him. What do I mean by that? Meet him, by the way, if you have questions, just ask, right? Meet him is a big permission. It's a permission to throw all the social rules, except for 1 meter, out of the window. There is no rules for dating. There is no shoulds, there is no shouldn'ts. Once you get that, you become that swallow. And what do you think a man prefers? A calf on the way to slaughter or a swallow dancing in the wind? Become that swallow, take that freedom. Nobody knows how to do a social distancing walk date, so take that liberty. Meet him. Actually take a moment and just look at him. And allow him, as he is, to touch you. I don't mean physically, I mean energetically. We need touch on a date, but we don't need physical touch on a date. Allow his energy to touch you. And just see what comes up in your heart. Maybe it's, I could just fly in your arms right now. You don't have to say, do it, because you're not allowed to do it right now. It's not wise, but you can say it. Imagine somebody saying that to you. Imagine being a strong guy, but a bit uncertain. Meeting somebody, she says, wow, I could fly in your arms right now. You are really opening some big energy simply by being you. Now, don't use this as the trick, right? As Clara's sentence. Oh, I'm going to take a pause and then I'm going to say, I could fly into your arms right now. That's not going to work. It only works when it's real. Be real. Meet him. Meet yourself. Allow that meeting to happen. That's what from the very first moment makes a social distancing walk date rock, skyrocket, fly into the air, or dance in the wind. And that first moment is important. Because if you go to that first moment like that calf from the song, ready to be slaughtered. By the way, I love calves and calves should not be slaughtered. So let's also keep that, right? Calves need freedom too. But for now, right, we become too easily one who allows herself to be slaughtered. And if we go to that date, like, I don't know how to do this kind of date, okay, somebody would tell me, well, let's just sit down, let's walk, let's, hello, should we go left? You know, then we're pretending to be cool when everybody feels we're not. It's a killer for the energy. Your first moment, you ruined it there. And that means probably you ruined the whole date. Meet him. That's the first practical tip. Then you go on to the second one, which is build the energy. Once you're in it together like that, there is a moment of energy between you, right? I could fly in your arms right now. Ooh, I would want to take a step back. Maybe you feel that. Say it. I feel like taking a step back. Just say it. There's energy in there. Then allow that energy to build. How do you do that? Simply being honest and keep making that same movement. Keep coming into the moment. So you feel him, he comes, he comes, sorry. Ta-da! Here he comes out of the park. He stands opposite of you. You feel him, you allow his energy inside, you feel what it does to you, you express that. It's that movement. Through you, receive it, through you, give it back. Then he does something and then you repeat. And that way, this beautiful figure 8 movement starts to happen. We all know it from Tai Chi, right? I take him, I receive him, I give it back, he receives it, takes it in, gives it back. And that way we dance. Feel the energy building? Don't stop it. Don't start talking about the weather, about Corona, about exes. Don't. Stay in the moment. Feel what he says, what he does, how he is. How is it touching you? Give it words. Express it. Wait what comes back. Don't go into monologues. So much energy. Feel it building. So everybody always asks me, but what do I say? Well, that's not important. On a date, we're looking for an experience. We're not looking for perfection. We're not looking for the perfect quote. We're looking for an experience. Remember the 101 Dalmatians? Dalmatians, how you say that in English? The dogs, right? They fell in love. And the owners, the man and the woman, the dogs had this game and they tied the leashes around them. And I think they both fell in the water, right? A mistake, a blunder, the beginning of a lifelong love story. Don't fear mistakes. Be willing to make a mistake. That's where the magic happens. John Lennon said life happens in between your appointments. Well, let me paraphrase. Love begins in between your... It doesn't work, but you get me, right? Build the energy. Respond, be responsive. Feel, receive, take it in, and respond again and again. Then, as that eye connection is building, we add the classical eye connection, but we add it with a twitch. With a twitch, is that the word? Tweak, well, you know what I mean. A small change to it. Because eye connection works, right? Whether you're standing 20 centimeters apart and about to kiss, 1.5 meters, and about to virtually kiss, or whether it's 20 meters. Eye connection spans that distance easily. And the two of you, your energies just connect and spark and create magic and heat and boom. I once did this in a fire ritual. So there was a big fire. I was standing on one side, the man on the other side. And we looked at each other. Over the fire, through the fire when the flames were high. We didn't move, and we just allowed that energy. But what we did do was we didn't only lock eyes, we also locked pelvises. And that's the plus. That's the tweak. That's what makes it so much more powerful. The combination of eyes and pelvis connected, it overcomes any distance. Even if you're on Zoom, right? Even if you're in London and he's in New York. Connect the eyes and connect the pelvis. It's your pelvis connected to his, not physically, not right now, energetically. Receive his energy with your pelvis. Our eyes have all these little receptors taking in the light. Your pelvis is in a way similar. Now, this is not science, this is my experience. And maybe one day it will become science, right? That's usually how it works. But my experience is my pelvis is at least as receptive as my eyes, at least as many receptors. And they feel especially pelvis energy. It's like the pelvis light or something, however you want to call it, right? Your pelvis responds to it. It feels colors, it feels nuances, it feels changes. And allow your body to respond. Your body, my body just opens up as I speak about it, right? Our bodies are so susceptible. That's such a gift of the feminine body. Allow that to happen. You're safe, you're 1.5 meters apart. Allow it to happen. Paradoxically, that 1.5 meter gives a safety which allows so many women to open up now more. And more can happen. Then the fourth tip, breathe him in. So what do I mean by that? Well, when you're connecting eyes and connecting pelvises, and when you are actually taking that energy from him and breathing it in through your pelvis, and then back to your heart, you're creating this circle in through your pelvis, out through your heart. Feel the energy building? Now, don't do it if you don't like the guy, right? You're free as the swallow, remember? If you don't like the guy, your pelvis will very quickly tell you, and you will be feeling yourself closing down and pulling back. That's okay. Free, just name it. Don't worry about, oh, but he will feel rejected. He will feel more rejected if you pretend. And then afterwards, I'm like, I don't want to see you anymore. Right? He will feel more rejected if you just start talking about the news of the day. And afterwards, you're like, no, it was fun, but no, thank you. Be honest. That's where people grow. And often people surprise each other. When you are honest about pulling back, maybe he's like, wow, I felt seen. And suddenly both of you laugh and the ice is broken, you want to connect. Don't judge too soon. Judging kills energy. Now, if you're like, Clara, this is amazing, but this is totally far from my dates. I'm just speaking to those guys. We talk about Corona, about work, about exes. Well, stop it. But if you're like, yeah, but how? How do I stop that? Well, incredibly simple. Go to shift number 1. Meet him. Wherever you are in the conversation, wherever you are on the date, just allow your words to rest. Take a moment to feel his energy. And if you want, tell him what you're doing. Wow, I got so lost in talking. I actually just want to take a moment and feel with whom I'm here. It's that simple. Boom, you're back. And then you just repeat, meet him, allow that energy to build. Remember, be responsive, take in what comes, allow it to touch you, and give it back to him in words, in how you look, in gestures, in making fun. Woody Allen was amazing, right? He gave us so many examples of dates over a distance, how they could be fun, crazy, hot, something you would want more of. Remember this scene in Death, Love and Death? They're at the opera. Diane Keaton in one box, a beautiful lady, she was so beautiful, is Woody Allen in another opera box. Air in between them. And the way they connect, they respond to each other. And energy is building, and they definitely use the eye connection. right? Eye connection plus, I can tell you. And they use breath. You see Diane doing it. Woody, not so much. She has these other games. You see Diane, you know, that kind of thing. Through the whole opera, him on one side, she on the other side. There's a whole audience in between them. So what is 1.5 meter? It's fun. You know, you're in the park or wherever. Ever did that thing? You know, you walk on that little rail across the grass. You on one side of the path, he on the other side. So much fun things to do with 1.5 meter distance. Make it a game. But when you make that eye connection and a pelvic connection, you breathe him in. It is not a child's game. It becomes hot. It becomes sexy. It becomes juicy. It becomes amazing. It becomes filled with pleasure. And both of you are like, hey, tomorrow again, tonight again, you know, let's not stop this. And always remember, there's plenty of great men out there. Hey, Nashwa, good to see you here. Remember, there's plenty of great men out there. If you feel at some point like something is off, listen to it. Own it. Make it part of what's happening. Hey, I'm feeling something is off. And sometimes it solves itself, sometimes not. Don't be afraid to be a fool. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. We're all looking for experiences. We're not looking for perfection. And if you're too silly, well, who cares? You are never too silly. But if he thinks you're too silly, there's more birds in the sky. Be the swallow. So never feel that you're tied to him, that he's your only chance. It's the sure way to kill the energy, sooner or later. Always remember, you know, all I need to do is learn how to work a dating app, learn how to create a profile, how to chat, so that the dating app starts sending their right guys to me. And if you want help with that, find me. Clara@alena.com/apply. Clara@alena.com/apply. Actually, I can make that in a little thing here. Can I? Yeah. Clara@alena.com/apply. No spelling mistakes. You don't need those dots. That's it. And then you are taken to a quick form, gives us both an idea if we're a good fit, and then you can actually apply to have a free conversation with me. And we can see if you're a good fit for my program, and we can actually help you get those great men, because they are out there, and help you, guide you through this process. Because we have been putting off dating and finding a life partner and getting a life together too often. Yay, Nashwa. It is an important point. We have been putting it off too often. Don't let Corona be your next excuse. Remember, on some levels, we don't have choices. The 1.5 meter, it's a given right now. But we do have a choice what we do with it. Do we totally give up on dating, telling ourselves, well, that's not going to work. Let's just wait until it's over. Well, all the other women are just continuing dating and finding the best guys. Or are we becoming that one who takes the opportunity? So I want to end with a song that I began with, Donna Donna, a Yiddish song. It's about that theme. We always have a choice. We always have a choice. And it's symbolized here by a calf, which allows itself, no, it doesn't have a choice, right? It's tied down, it's taken to the slaughterhouse. But on another level, we have a choice, and we can be the swallow who dances with the wind, who is laughing. So I'm not perfect on my flute. Haven't played in years, but since the quarantine, I started practicing actually a few weeks before. One more time. Didn't have air for the last note anymore. Thank you. It is a perfect opportunity now. Internet dating. Have that live date, social distancing walk date. ClaraArlena.com/apply if you want help with it. But here you have five amazing tips. Practice them and always remember that swallow and that cough. And that in so many ways we have a choice. Aloha!